Hey guys, welcome back. In this video we will be discussing the concept of pricing, what you should price yourself, what rate you should charge as a top copywriter. Now naturally our rate's going to be higher than the average, but in fact we need to do a little more research to find out what specific price we can set. One smart way to do this is to research your competitors. You can do that quite easily by going to Upwork.com and pretend that you are first you have to set up an account, of course. Then you pretend that you are a client. I have a client account. And you search for a freelancer. And perhaps you can find a top copywriter. A top copywriter. You search for top copywriter. And then you have a look at the rates that they're charging. So it appears that $75, we have $120 an hour here. It fluctuates between these price ranges, so perhaps between $50 and $120 per hour. Now, what final figure you select really has to do with the industries that you will be targeting and your own experience as a copywriter. Now, if you have a decades or more, like myself, I have over a decade of experience, that naturally lends itself to a higher rate. If you have 3 years experience, but you're still a very good copywriter, then perhaps you won't be able to charge as much. So factor this into your equation when you are determining what rate you should charge. Now, another thing that you need to consider when setting your hourly rate or setting a general setting up a process by which you invoice clients. You need to factor material costs. Now, luckily with copywriting, there's very little material cost. Labor cost. Now, if you're using an outsourced proofreader, or if you're outsourcing the writing itself and acting in a more editorial capacity, you do need to factor the hourly rates, or how much you will be paying your outsourced staff. That is very important to be aware of this. A very, very important point. Now, you can also mark up your services to ensure that you're making a profit. That's a good idea also. And we will be providing a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet with formulas embedded in the spreadsheet where you can easily alter your markup and your hourly rate. It's very useful. You can find it attached along with this video. Very important that you set a decent profit margin, because you want to be earning profit. You don't only want to be earning an hourly rate. Somehow factor this in. Very interesting. Now we come to different pricing models. You can charge an hourly rate. You can charge a flat fee, or you can do a mixture of both. So you can set a limit. If this project goes for more than 20 hours, I will charge on an hourly basis. That's one very easy way to protect your back, because you don't want to commit to a flat fee, a $500 fee, and then all of a sudden this is especially relevant if you're working with a client that likes to request a review for every single where they review every single noun phrase and try and almost, like a passenger driver, you have passenger editors, passenger clients who want to correct every little detail in the article, and this can take up some time. So make sure you protect yourself in this sense. Your time is money. Part of being a top copywriter and earning top money is setting a limit on your time. Very, very important. So, and you should always test the market. This article has provided a very good foundation point where we can discuss these different topics. Test the market now and then by increasing your prices or decreasing your prices slightly. In many cases, as you will find, as your experience in business grows, that many of your favorite clients will, when you tell them you are raising your prices, they will say, you know what, we're completely fine with that. In fact, we're surprised you haven't you haven't increased them before. You get that reaction many, many times. It's a fascinating occurrence, and very fortunate for us as copywriters, because at the end of the day, we want to earn more money. Now, moving on to this next article where this interesting point is raised, the pros and cons of hourly pricing and flat rates. We've already discussed one potential danger in the flat fee rate is that the job expands in complexity and you are, in essence, doing more work than you bargained for, which is why it's important. The solution to that, by the way, is to set that variable limit. $400 if it's more than 10 hours, I charge X amount per hour. Now, with the danger in hourly pricing is that you provide so much value in a short amount of time, and you don't really feel that you've been adequately compensated for the amount of work that you've done. This example here is for a website, but the same can apply for, say, an ebook. If you just poured your heart and your soul into this ebook and working at an hourly rate, you just blitz through it. You produce this wonderful, wonderful product, and you only make a couple of $100 on that? No. The smart thing to do is, again, establish some form of flat fee component, either in bonus form or we complete this project in the deadline, I want X amount as a bonus. There's nothing wrong with setting that, and again, it just protects you and your time. You don't want to waste your time or undervalue your contribution to the client, who will use your product to make thousands and thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, perhaps. Now, depending on look, I don't like to make these blanket statements like project-based pricing is better or hourly pricing is better. The fact that the reality is that both work well in different situations. Both work well in different situations. I've found that charging an hourly rate with big batches of, say, 500-word blog articles is much more beneficial to my bank account statement than charging a flat fee, because you never really know what unexpected obstacles will come in the way. This is especially true when you're working with a new client. Absolutely true, because you're still learning to interact with that client. You're learning even the communications between on email, Skype, or using the inbuilt Upwork communications. That all takes time, and that's your time. Time is money. That is your money that you're spending for free. They're getting your time for free, so it's always beneficial when working with new clients, particularly, to have that hourly pricing in there. Project-based pricing, you can use that for, I personally have found with clients that I have a deeper relationship with, I can basically charge what I want, and I figure out what would be a fair representation of the work that I'm doing, what would be a fair invoice, and then if that work is more complicated than expected, I will let the client know, hey guys, by the way, this is turning into more of a time sink than I realized. I'm going to charge whatever dollars per hour from this point onwards, 10 hours, 15 hours, whatever. So that, in essence, is all you need to know about hourly pricing and project-based pricing for now. Just be aware of the differences, and really the only solution to this question of which one is better depends on you. It depends on you and the clients you gain. Some people, believe it or not, will not accept project-based pricing. They demand hourly pricing. And you have to work with people. You have to work around their criteria for what they're looking for in a writer. Another unexpected factor that you should consider is, do you like working with this person. Now, I am of the particular philosophy that life is short, and I will not waste any time working with clients who are energy vampires, for instance, or very negative people. I've made that mistake, and I don't want you to make that mistake. It is not worth it. Dealing with energy vampires is simply not worth it. There are enough people out there, there are enough businesses out there that you can sell to who are made up of nice people, nice, positive people. And a very interesting and very important concept as you become a more experienced, a more proficient copywriting professional is you need to learn how to fire a client. These energy vampires, they're sucking your energy out of you, and they are costing you a lot of time. Those are the people that will request a review for every single conjunction or determiner. Now, again, you don't want to waste time with these people. It's simply not worth it. I just want everyone to be aware of this, because I don't want you to make the same mistake as I have made in the past, thinking that, oh, you know what, money's money, don't have to worry about them driving me crazy. Or I've had people yell at me over the phone, and I end the relationship then and there. Something to consider. Another important consideration is the client's budget. Now, this is an interesting way to set your pricing. Now, if you are working for a giant corporation, I don't see any problem at all with getting as much money as you possibly can from that organization. Considering that there may be a chance that they don't pay as much tax as perhaps they should, and the fact that their CEOs get paid millions and millions of dollars, why shouldn't you? Why shouldn't you earn as much as you want to earn, as much as you are worth? An interesting question to consider when you are formulating your hourly rate, or how much you will charge for the client. Another very interesting perspective and we've touched on this with the ebook example, how much value are you providing? If you do 3 hours of fantastic work that is in demand, and there's very few people that can do what you do, you're providing a tremendous amount of value to the client. Value-based pricing, this should definitely be a consideration when you are setting your hourly rate or your flat fee. And again, to wrap up, this is a very good article. I recommend reading this article. There is no formula. The only thing I don't like about this article is I don't like making the blanket statements about what's better, hourly pricing or project-based pricing. From here on, I would say read on from determining how much to charge. And essentially, to wrap up quite nicely, again, there is no rules. One way or the other way doesn't necessarily have to be the only way. You can combine one and the other. You can experiment with different pricing strategies and different perspectives on how you price your services. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I think this is a good place to stop and wrap up. I hope you've deepened your understanding of copywriting, and I hope this video gives you a framework from which you can essentially create your own hourly rate or flat rate, depending on what you choose to go with. So thank you once again. I hope that you will leave a comment in the comment section, in the discussion section of this video. I always appreciate feedback, things I'm doing well, things that can be improved, and things that you'd like to see more of, perhaps. Now, I think for this homework, for the homework exercise for this video, perhaps you can experiment with the pricing formula Excel spreadsheet. Find out what pricing works for you. What do you value as a human being? Do you think that you should pay particular attention to how much value you are providing? Or are you the sort of person that you don't mind if you work with negative people as long as you get paid? There's nothing wrong with that in a certain extent. It's just not a very enjoyable way to live. I mean, if you got to do what you got to do to put the food on the table. So, this week's homework exercise: experiment with finding your hourly rate or a flat fee that you can charge for, let's say, a 500-word article. You can also charge by the word. I don't really recommend using that. It's not a very helpful way to find to set. It's very deceptive as well. I've found in my experience, when you charge by the word, you always end up making less money than you thought you were going to make. So another key point that I'm glad I remembered that. That's very important. But yeah, let's find a range: $50 to $75, $75 to $125. Set a range that you think works well for you, that you like for your hourly rate, and maybe a flat fee for a 500-word article, determined by how long you think it will take you, and how much effort, how much energy, and how much expertise you will put into writing that article. So thanks again, guys, and I'll speak to you soon.